Erie and served at the domestic violence service at the domestic violence agency, like Chris said. I was a volunteer coordinator and a children's I worked with the children in the children's program. And then I decided to do a second year after I had more of a passion for the social work aspect of my job, even though I wasn't doing a lot of direct service last year. So this year I'm now doing more social work. I'm working at a food pantry. I do more casework, help people. If I can't directly give them food that specific day, I'll give them other opportunities. And then next year, we're probably going to ask this anyways, I'm hopefully going to pursue a master's in social work, so along with my other roommates. So we all want to do that.
Awesome. Sounds like, I don't know, it sounds like you had a slightly different plan before MVC and things might have changed.
Exactly. Yeah, I've been working on my graduate essays, and it's very interesting to, when I read it out, I'm like, oh, that sounds crazy, but, my year of service, my 2 years of service have really changed my life and my perspective on what I want to do with the rest of my life.
Sure. And I guess getting back to kind of senior year of college, you said you didn't want to do physical therapy, you wanted to do something a little different. What was that like, trying to convince either your family or your friends, or what, did they take some convincing? You're like, you're going to do what for a year?
Yeah. So for me, my year, deciding to do a year of service, my family, it was it was a little bit of an adjustment for them. But I had to remind them that I didn't want to jump into paying a lot of money for grad school if I wasn't sure that this is what I wanted to do. So it was kind of a great opportunity to delve more into what I actually wanted to do with the rest of my life, instead of just jumping into something and paying a lot of money into it and then deciding, I don't want to be a physical therapist after spending a lot of money, So this was more my family, they had a lot of questions about, what I wanted to actually do. And I didn't have a lot of answers for what I wanted to do in my future, but I knew that service was a big part of it. So I really wanted to do that service, and you get a lot of experience, so that can be really good for either if you want to, like, after a year of service, get a job, or if you want to go into grad school. But either way, you're getting a lot of great experience. You get many hours, long hours, some longer than others, but it's wonderful because you meet such wonderful people, and you're going somewhere different too, outside of your comfort zone, for sure.
Awesome. You don't have to convince me. My background's in architecture, so I'm not going to tell all the story of how I got here, but I get that, not quite wanting to do what maybe you had originally intended. Was there something about Mercy Volunteer Corps in particular that interested you over either another program or something else, something that drew you to it?
Well, the only other program that I had looked into, was AmeriCorps just in general, but for me, I was really drawn to the faith aspect of Mercy Volunteer Corps, and I knew that, like, when I was in Erie, there was Mercyhurst University, and in my elementary school, I had a Sister of Mercy as a principal. So I'd been familiar with Mercy, but not that familiar. In these past 2 years, with sisters, companions, and associates surrounding me, I felt a lot of love and acceptance, and very well supported. So I'm never quite alone, and it's a wonderful time. It's great.
Awesome. And then how did you choose your service site, where you wanted to serve? I guess either Erie last year or Hartford this year, or both?
So for my first year, I was in Erie. And that was where I went to college. And not many people did that type of a thing, because Mercy Volunteer Corps kind of wants you to challenge yourself to go outside of your comfort zone. But my reasoning for wanting to stay in the city that I was in was that I wanted to give back to the community that I was so much a part of. So I had been in Erie for 4 years in college, not a lot of experience doing service directly in the city of Erie, I was doing more service throughout, like going on service trips and not taking care of my own community that I was a part of. So I wanted to kind of give back to that community, I guess. And then as far as Hartford goes, I was kind of just looking for a new experience, and I figured that what's more new than a new site for Mercy Volunteer Corps, starting it fresh, just looking for a different experience. We took over, well, I don't know, how the Jesuit volunteers used to be in Hartford. There were a few of them, but now Mercy Volunteers in Hartford. So there's 3 of us here, and things couldn't be better, so it's great. Made a good decision.
Good, good. We're obviously glad to have you for a second year as well. So I guess what's a typical day like for you at your service site?
For me, I work at the food pantry. So that is, we serve food, and it's a grocery style, I guess. I don't know if that's how you would say. We walk with the clients through the food pantry, so they get to pick out their food as they walk along. It's not just a bag given to them. They have somewhat of an option. So for this, we open at 9 a.m., so I try to get there a little bit before. And as a Mercy volunteer, I take the bus to work. So some days it can be worse than others taking the bus, like when it's been very cold. I got to time things right with catching the bus, or else you freeze out there. And then, so we serve clients between 9 and noon, Monday through Thursdays, and then from 1 until like about 4 or 5. But we serve people who are either disabled, who have who are over the age of 60, or have young children in the households. So for me, I work on the schedule for that. I set that up. I do a lot of making sure that we have all the correct information for all of our clients. We have folders for everyone. I also do casework. So if someone needs a referral for something, I try to find how I can best help them out. We also do like security deposits, utility assistance. We do the whole gamut of things, and it keeps me busy, and I love it. I love it.
Awesome. So I'm trying to phrase the question. So now you're looking into social work from this now. Is that something you went into that mindset beginning this year, that social work was the end, or has that changed already this year?
So it's funny that you say that, because last year around April, I was trying to decide what I wanted to do with the rest of, for the next year or so. And my family was very much for go for your education, go for your master's if you know that that's what you want to do. But for me, another positive that Mercy Volunteers had the privilege of having is the AmeriCorps Award, and that's something that it's not guaranteed, but it's kind of gambling on that. So last year I had the full AmeriCorps Award, and then this year we got the half. But I had applied in April for graduate school for social work, as well as for Mercy Volunteer Corps. So I ended up being accepted already for fall of 2015 to one of the grad schools back home. And then just 2 weeks ago, I applied to another graduate school. So we'll see where I end up, but probably back home in Rochester somewhere.
All right. Yeah, that AmeriCorps award that you're talking about, most of our positions are eligible for that, but it does depend on funding and whether the grant is accepted or not, and we'll find that out a little later in the year, but definitely a nice benefit when all that works out. Talked a bit about public transport and kind of catching the bus and living in the community, and I think that's an important part of Mercy Volunteer Corps, that we don't kind of put you on the outskirts of town. We put you in the in the middle where the people you're serving are, things like that. So how is that, either riding the bus or just kind of living life in Hartford? How is that for you?
So it's interesting because, well, last year I wasn't directly right in the city or like right where my clients were. But this year I am like, I see people on the bus that, I feed because I forgot to include this, on Monday nights. I also work at our soup kitchen, which is called Community Meals. So I help with their dinner shift. And so we serve, anyone that comes off the street, whoever wants a nice cooked meal, I help with that. So I see there, and there's also a shelter right down the street. So I've seen some of our clients on the bus going to the shelter or coming from the shelter when I'm on my way to work. So it's very interesting. And for myself, recently there was one client that I've been seeing on the bus all the time, but I haven't been seeing him at community meals when I'm there. And everyone's like, oh, is this person okay? And for me, because I take the bus and I see him, I'm like, oh, I know he's okay. He has a safe place to stay. He's just, getting food somewhere else and doing his own thing. So it's very interesting in that respect because I get to see people outside of, work, the work environment, but still, then they respect me more because then they're like, oh, wow, you live like down the street from me and you're cool and you take the bus. And we do, so we take the bus to and from work, but this past, or like, I think it was in October, the sisters wanted us to get a car. So we use our car only for picking each other up from work if it's late at night. So Alex will pick me up on Monday nights at like 7 because the buses kind of slow down around 7 o'clock. So just for safety purposes, she'll pick me up. She's in a choir. I'll pick her up that way, go to church. We can drive. So that's really nice. But something that's really important, though, is that we still do take the bus. Plus, then we don't have to fight over the car and who gets to take the car to work and who doesn't. So this way, we're very included in the community, and we've been, at the beginning of the year, we walked a lot and would see our clients. And it's very interesting because Alex works at the community meals, and so she would see a lot of her clients, and they respect her so much. So they'd be like, hi, Alex, and they're just very excited to see us outside of work. Just in the community. It's very cool.
Sure. You mentioned your community members a couple times.
Yes.
What's that like? What are the greatest benefits of living in intentional community with other people?
Well, it's funny that you say that because what I've found one of those reasons. One thing this morning because I accidentally overslept through my alarm, and my community members know that I'm always awake at a certain time, so I get the knock on the door, Lauren, wake up, wake up. So besides being my alarm clock,
Sure.
My community members are wonderful. We get along really well. When we were at the beginning of this webinar, Alex just walked in from work, but we all we do everything together pretty much, but not every community is like that. There's some different dynamics. We have to put our money together for our stipend, and we've had some really cool ways of dealing with that, using like a Google Doc and making sure that we have our grocery list planned. We also, spend time together and have dinner together. Usually after dinner, we'll come into our living room where I am right now and, just sit. And one of my favorite things to do is crochet. So I'll crochet and then we'll just sip on tea and just hang out. But it's nice to have people to talk to after work. If you have a stressful day, they understand your pain. They can give you different advice. We're all in this, this experience together, like far from home, a new city, just doing social work. So it's, you get a lot of the similar problems together. We're all dealing with homelessness in some respect. So we actually see a lot of the same clients, so it's pretty cool. It's very fun.
Nice. Yeah. I think that besides being an alarm clock, which, yeah, like you said, I guess that comes in handy too.
Yes.
I think part of that intentional community is that you're kind of on this journey together, and that I think the Hartford community in particular, you seem to have similar positions, or at least serving similar populations, which is not always the case.
Right.
But I know a lot of times it's very helpful to, hey, I'm having this trouble, or I have this guy at work, and things aren't going well, and either just to share and just to be there to listen, or to get a little advice as well. So I think that's definitely part of our reasoning for wanting to keep people together.
Yeah, we there's been lots of laughter, some tears, after days of work, but it's always fun to hear each other's stories too. So.
Sure. Do you think if you were doing this year on your own, kind of either living at home or living on an apartment by yourself somewhere, what do you think that the year would be like?
It's funny that you say that because my family, when I told them that I wanted to go to Hartford, I mean, for my first year, I was in Erie, which is a place that I was comfortable with. It wasn't too far from my home. And then when I told my family I wanted to go, instead of 3 hours away, it would be 5 hours. Those 2 hours, I don't know, something about it. My family freaked out. But I had to constantly remind them that, I'm not just plopped in the middle of nowhere, like, there you go, you take care of it, have fun starting a new job, living in a new city, not knowing anyone. With this, it's, intentional, where we have a mercy community who, like, literally as soon as we got off of our flight in Hartford, we had two sisters, like, open arms, like, you three, you must be the mercy volunteers. We didn't have anything that said mercy or anything. It was just you guys. And, being invited in open arms, and, always having people with us, just kind of on this journey, especially, setting up a new Hartford community. This is their first year. Everyone's so excited. So it's so, I can feel the mercy spirit of, feeling welcomed and hospitality. It's, I'm definitely not by myself, which is very reassuring. So whenever there's an issue that comes up, whether it's like community, at work, at anything, I always have someone to turn to. And it's not just, I want to go home right now, I have somewhere to turn. So
Nice. As part of community is this the spirituality component, both the spirituality night. So we ask all our communities to commit to one evening during the week as a spirituality night that one of the volunteers helps to lead. So I guess how are those going for you? How are those? Why do you think those are an important part of the program, of your experience?
Okay. So last year I was a community of 2. That was a little bit trickier because we would have to, it was every other week I had to lead spirituality night. Just with one other person, it's been very nice just to have, we each take a turn leading, we'll rotate, and it's nice because we turn it into a wonderful discussion of, it can, I could be talking about something, leading spirituality night and be talking about something, but we might turn to something else, but we keep it in spirituality, the topic of spirituality, and we all take part in that, and a wonderful conversation, and we all bring something different to the table. So I know in the past, we all are Catholic in my community, but not every community. It's not a requirement that you're Catholic to be a mercy volunteer. So we, when it was around Christmas time, I looked up stuff about Hanukkah, and so we kind of, looked at that, and because we weren't familiar with that, being raised Catholic, going to Catholic school my whole life, I never knew much about that Jewish holiday. So we, found out information about that and kind of compared it to what we celebrate, and just, the differences in that. And we've just been challenging each other on our different beliefs. But you get great discussions, and you learn and grow together. and just, you might question your faith on something, but then it kind of, brings you closer to your faith and like, what do you truly believe? And so I lead it tomorrow, so it's going to be Ash Wednesday, so I got to think of something really good. But another thing that, about spirituality is that I have a spiritual director, and so that's been really helpful for myself. So I just meet with her once a month, and we just kind of see how like the Holy Spirit is moving in my own life. And so it's a Sister of Mercy that I meet with, and I just met with her on Friday. But a few times ago, I had said to her, I want to be involved in another community of young adults or adults that are Catholic, or someone that shares the same beliefs, just, to become more involved, because I was used to that in college. And so she had informed me of a monastery that's not too far away, and so she gave me someone's email address, and so I emailed that person, and there was a college retreat this past weekend, and they welcomed us and let us go to the retreat. And so we were just with young adults, college students. We are not, not too much older than them, and just sharing our faith and growing together. It was all about joy. So we had a wonderful, joyful Valentine's weekend. So it was nice because all three of us were able to go, and we all wanted to go and take part in that. So
nice.
It was very cool.
Yeah, I think when we choose cities to be a part of, to go and serve, the idea is that you're not on your own, like you mentioned, and generally there's a really strong mercy presence, but also there's this strong community presence of people who also are there to serve and to help. And I know working in the cities that I kind of oversee in Philly and in New York, there's tons of other volunteers in the area, and we try and do a good job of connecting the different programs, the different volunteer opportunities that are going on. And I think that your intentional community that you're living with, that community literally around you that maybe you're serving, but then also that bigger picture community, I think, is important to be a part of. Sounds like you are all doing your best to be a part of that as well.
Yes, we also have been connected with AmeriCorps Vistas, so that was pretty easy to get connected with, since we have a Vista on staff at Hands on Hartford.
Okay.
So we have some more friends here, which is nice.
Nice.
And they're also on board with, service and simple living, not having a lot of money, so it's very nice.
Beautiful segue onto simple living. I guess another big part of the year is really an opportunity, a challenge, whatever you want to call it, but a chance to live simply, and both financially and then beyond that. So I guess, what does living simply mean to you as a Mercy volunteer?
So living simply is not having an overabundance of anything, and also, we're not in using everything that you have wisely. So for us, when we like go grocery shopping, like I said, we make sure we make a list and use coupons and see what's on sale, and just we're very intentional about making a list of who's gonna make what meal this week, and what ingredients do we need, and just buying that. Because sometimes when you go to the grocery store, you can easily get overwhelmed with, oh, this looks good, oh, this is on sale, and then you just end up with everything. But with us, 3 people in a community, you have to really make sure that you know what you want, how much you want, and the right price for it. So there's that, and just taking turns paying for it is how we've kind of gotten used to, like, spending our stipend for a community, and then we use a Google Doc and track it that way. But then as far as simple living in our apartment, first of all, like I said, I crochet, so that is a very simple grandma-ish thing, like most people would say. But for me, it's something that's really nice. Like just today, I realized that I think either misplaced my mittens or something, or I don't know, they're not here.
Sure.
But instead of me saying, I need to go out and buy another pair of mittens, I can crochet them. So that's something simple for myself. And then another thing is we've been trying to challenge each other to take quicker showers, to not waste a lot of money, a lot of water on that, and just being more conscious of, our consumption of water and other resources, as well as with our thermostat. We have a thermostat, setting that at a decent, temperature, so we're not, wasting any energy. And we also recycle a lot. I don't know, but that's something that I've always done, but we always have to empty our recycling more than our trash, so that's always good.
Sure. It sounds like you have that living simply from a whole bunch of different perspectives.
Yes.
Has it been a challenge for you? Has it been easy? And I know you're this second year, so you're a pro at it, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think that this year I've definitely kind of gotten better at it, where the community seems very much, we're intentional about how we spend our money and just making sure. Last year I didn't use a Google Doc or anything like that, and for some communities it can cause a lot of tension, with financially, figuring out about food if you have different dietary restrictions and stuff like that. But for us, it's worked out really well, where just using that. But that's one way that I've grown, and just being more careful and mindful of how I do spend my money. I used to, just swipe your card and then, whatever, you never see it. But now I, keep my receipts, keep track of all my money, and just exactly how I'm spending it. But that's taken practice, and, but it's been working out well this year.
Okay. Kind of throughout the conversation, we mentioned a bit about some of the benefits of a year of service, the experience, the just chance to live for a year where housing is provided for you. All those utility bills and all of that are covered. There's enough money to get food. Transportation is covered, whether that's public transport on the bus or a car in some places. One of the other benefits that is offered are some retreats throughout the year, and I know just a couple weeks ago, I think you were on one of your mid-year retreats. So what are those retreats like for you? How is that a benefit to this year?
So last weekend I had the Valentine's Day monastery retreat. The weekend before was my mid-year retreat in Madison, Connecticut. And that was right on the water, right on the ocean. And we had two communities join us, New York City and Philadelphia. And that was a wonderful time. It was a good time to get away, for us to regroup and kind of remember. We kind of were able to share our woes of the year, and just remember what we committed to with our year of service, and then it's a wonderful time to catch up with different communities that you don't get to see too much because of the distance. It's easy to catch up on, like through all of our technology nowadays, but it's different when you're like actually together and you can, catch up with everyone all at once. So that was nice, and also just, like I said about the woes, and just knowing that we're all in this together and we're all, committed to our year of service. And the other retreat, we had one in the fall, and that was in New Jersey at Sea Isle, and that was also on the water. So it's been very nice, but very cold on the water. But it's nice to, get out of the place that you've been serving, and take time for yourself to just relax and to reflect on everything that you've experienced so far this year, instead of just going through the motions of day-to-day serving, living in community. It's a little bit of change of pace, just time to relax, like I said. So it's very nice.
Yeah, so those two mid-year retreats, we do one in the fall, kind of right after you're probably just getting settled in your new living arrangement, new job, new position, things like that. And that one we try and I think we put it there to help you kind of take stock of where you are already, but then look at the rest of the year and see how things are going. And then that second one, in February and March, depending on where they are, I think it's so easy to get caught up with like either what's coming next or I've been at this for 6 or 7 months and I'm kind of getting a little tired of it. So I think we put it there to be a little opportunity to re-energize and not necessarily worry about what's coming next and make sure that everyone is committed to being present to where they are, where they're serving the community that they're in.
Exactly. And then the transition retreat is in June. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Go for it. You've already been on it, so you can kind of give some ideas on what's so important about the transition retreat in June.
Yes. So I've already been to one transition retreat. For me, that transition was a transition into another year of service, so it wasn't much of a major transition. But this year will be a lot different for myself. So we meet as a whole group, all of the Mercy volunteers in the United States. I think it's, how many of us, like 38 of us now, something like that. And we'll all meet together, just kind of regroup again, reflect on everything that we've been through, and kind of process it and, just see how you've changed through your year of service, and then also how you're going to take your year of service and incorporate it into the rest of your life. Like, are you going to grow from it? Are you how can you talk about this now in the future with other people? And then another part of it is the whole saying goodbye part. So they do it intentionally before you leave your service site in your community, so you can prepare to leave everyone, but in the proper way, either with a goodbye and however, but not just leaving and saying see ya never, but processing it and making it meaningful.
Right. So it's called transition retreat. I think that transition work covers lots of different aspects of what transition is. We talk about professional transition from being a volunteer for a year to whatever comes next, whether that's grad school, whether that's a career in something, maybe it's a career change, like Lauren, you talked about doing social work now. But that transition is also about personal transition, both the volunteer and leaving a not just a place of employment, but a community they've been a part of, and then the intentional community, again, the people that you're living in and serving with. I think those are such strong bonds during the year, and to just leave, whatever that looks like, can be challenging. So we like to give as many skills and kind of tips and tricks to how to transition successfully, and so that's why we do that in mid-June. So there's still about a month, 4 to 6 weeks left of everybody's year, but to give everyone an opportunity to really set up those transitions and make sure that they're handled in a healthy way. And then I guess kind of backwards, the first retreat you go on would be orientation in August. So any thoughts about that? How does orientation kind of prepare you for your year, now that, again, you've been on two, so you have two to compare?
So for orientation, you spend a week with the whole group before before you leave for your service sites. And each day has a different theme, and it'll be, service, spirituality, all the different tenets of Mercy Volunteer Corps. And so each day you'll have, time as a group to hear kind of someone reflect on the topic and give their opinion and on what you're going to be learning or what you're going to be doing, and like let's say social justice or, simple living. They might give you different tips and stuff like that. But then afterwards, you do a little self-reflecting on yourself and what you are going to take from that. And then we also have time to share as a future community. And so that's one of my favorite parts is, taking the time out during that orientation period when you're just meeting your future community members, and you really talk about the things that you're going to be taking part in. So, you have a discussion about community living, and once you truly evaluate yourself, hey, are you a neat person? Do you organize? Are you very organized, or are you sloppy? How can we, compromise in the middle? Obviously, you're not going to, answer every question for, have everything perfect about community, but kind of seeing what's to come. And you also get wonderful experiences. And when we were in Chicago, we got to go to Navy Pier. So, you do get out of, where you're having orientation, if it's at a retreat center, if it's at a college. But, you spend a lot of time there, but you also get to, sightsee, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, I think it's important that you get to meet your community members a little bit before just showing up at the apartment, the convent, or wherever you're living. So although you can't get to know them completely in a week, I think we kind of ease you in a little bit just to make sure, even if there's some rockiness to start, that you're not kind of on your own. So you're in this big community with the 40 or so other volunteers and the staff and lots of other people. But yeah, do you think we give you a pretty good understanding of what the year ahead of you entails, or at least enough to get you started?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I was going to mention another really helpful tool or helpful thing at orientation is having the alumni panel, and so they intentionally make that so have 3 or 4 alumni from that area wherever orientation is held, to answer different questions if you have anything that you're worried about, anything, any issues that you think will come up, or just wanting to know how the year will progress, just because that person has been there as well, and so they can hopefully give their insight for what to expect. Plus, a lot of the staff for Mercy Volunteer Corps has their alumni, so they also are very helpful with answering those types of questions as well.
Yeah, on the staff, if we're not MVC alumni, a lot of us have done a similar program, so that we can kind of draw from that experience as well. Yeah, our alumni are a huge part of kind of this, what makes the machine work, so to speak. We've been around since 1978, so we have a huge body of alumni that we try and include as best we can, just because they've been through it already. So at orientation, we bring the alumni in. At transition retreat, we also bring alumni in again, just to have some people share kind of what life was like a little bit after being a Mercy volunteer, and some of the challenges of that, some of the gifts of that. So we do our best to really to tap into that alumni presence as much as we can.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the $20 million question. How have you been transformed this year, Lauren?
Oh man, wow, nothing like pressure. This year, just this year, or through Mercy Volunteer Corps?
Whatever works for you.
Whatever. For myself, I know I've become more confident as a person, as well as a person of faith, and I know that I can't solve all the problems in the world, but have you ever heard the poem or the story about the starfish where you can't save them all, but you can, the one that you throw in, you're helping. So I know that, as long as I'm doing my part, I can, make a change or make a dent in the world. And so for me, I've kind of learned that I really enjoy this job, doing social work, and I've also realized how important my faith is to myself, and just how it's up to me to incorporate that into the rest of my life. Same with, service. Even when I do get a job, even if it is in the social work fields, I still want to, incorporate mercy and volunteering into my life, even while I'm, working and doing other stuff with my life.
Awesome. I know that was a pretty heavy loaded question, but I appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, I think with volunteers, we get a lot of people that like you that are looking for something different and either not want to try it out. That sounds a little, I don't know, wishy-washy. I don't think that's the case with you, but are looking for something different, and this is an opportunity to really experience that. And then at the same time, I think we have people who come in and they're nurses or they're teachers, and we have plenty of those healthcare and education positions, and this is kind of a part of their journey that they have seen for a while. But I think that some of the things you said about being transformed and kind of the skills, the things are beyond just those workplace skills, whether it's confidence or growing in your own faith or being able to take some of that experience with you. I think that's really what it's all about. So I guess one more question. If someone was kind of on the fence about applying to MBC or another year of service, what would you say to them to kind of push them to fill out the application and send it in?
Well, for me, I would say, it's worth a shot to try something different. Doing a year of service can seem to be kind of countercultural. It's not what a lot of people think of doing after, putting a lot of money into college. But it's a wonderful experience. You grow a lot in so many different aspects of your life. And it's a real challenge, but you definitely, once I look back on who I was as a senior in college with nowhere, no clue where I was going to be the next 2 years, I've definitely grown into knowing who I am as a person and what I'm called to do. So if you feel that tug that you want to do Mercy Volunteer Corps, I think you should go with it. Might as well try it out. It's wonderful.
Sure. Yeah, I don't know. I think when I was in college, I know that these programs are around. I know Mercy Volunteer Corps is around, and some of the other big ones. And I don't know if it just was never on my radar, or I just was going around with blinders on and just wasn't looking for it. But I don't know, part of me when I'm looking at applications or meeting the new volunteers at orientation, I'm like, man, I wish I got a chance to do this like right out of college. And I think for me, the year that I did was a number of years later. But I don't know, there's something about that kind of fresh start, try something new and go out there. So.
I know for myself, I had been wanting to do a year of service, but with the program that I was in, if I wanted to study physical therapy, I was going to have to go right after my undergrad. And so I was always like, no, it's not possible. It's not possible. It's not possible. And then I was kind of like, you know what? It is possible. I don't have to go to grad school right away. It's kind of, taking a step back and, regrouping and seeing what you really are called to do with the rest of your life.
Sure. Well, thanks for all your input and your sharing your experience with us. Anything else you think we didn't cover that you want to share with anyone, or?
No, it's a wonderful experience to be a Mercy volunteer. Got my wonderful shirt on.
You could have one of those too.
Yeah, woo! Yes, yep. I'm loving it. So.
Yes. So I guess with that, we'll kind of wrap it up. So thanks again to Lauren for joining us all the way from Hartford and sharing a bit about her time as a Mercy volunteer. Thanks to everyone who joined. Just a couple of reminders before we kind of sign off here. like I said at the beginning, this presentation will be available on our website. So if you missed something, or if you came late, or if you know someone you think could benefit from this conversation we had, feel free to send it along. It's on our website, mercyvolunteers.org. And then it's volunteer tab, and right below it says webinar. So this one, the one we had previously this year, will also be there. So, and then two deadlines. One, if you're interested in an international placement, our deadline is March 1st. That's a very hard deadline. Just make sure you get your application in by March 1st. And then anyone seeking a domestic placement, while our deadline isn't until May, we do place volunteers on a rolling basis. So the earlier you get that application in, the more opportunities will be available. Again, if you have any questions about the application process, about the program, about anything, check out our website. Feel free to shoot me an email. Again, it's my name, Chris Davidson, at mercyvolunteers.org. That's it. Thanks again, Lauren, and everyone, have a good night.
Yep, bye.